Hello, Paul from Four Wheel Drive, and today I'm doing a quick video on how to put your travel batteries together and the do's and don'ts and the things you must understand when assembling them. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you receive your travel batteries is to get a pen and label them if you have more than one set. Even if you don't have more than one set, just do it now, because if you ever get them in the future, this can save a lot of hassle. So I'm going to label my packs here. I've got pack 1, 1 and 1. For argument's sake, I'm going to put a 2 on this one, 2 and 2. Label them so you don't mix them up. Then the next step is applying grease the right way. So foil drive battery grease must be used. Don't use anything else, please. I don't know how else to say that. Please use the foil drive grease only. Now, foil drive grease has been around a while. Its main purpose in the past has always been to protect the main battery terminals on the front. It still does that, but it does have a secondary purpose for the travel batteries, and that is to provide a watertight seal around the connection plugs on each module. So I'm going to show you that now. So we've got two modules here. This male part of the plug that is sticking out and the female. It's very important to note that in these travel pack components, there is the main power bus bars, and then there's all these little tiny pinholes. They are the balance leads. We want to keep those plugs clean. Do not stick anything in there on either module. We want to make sure they stay clean and debris free. So the best way to do that is to always have the packs joined and pull them apart minimal amount of times. When it comes to applying the grease, we want to do the following. On the max ones, you have slightly bigger plugs that protrude out a bit further, so it's a bit easier, but it's the same tactic. Do not apply grease in here. I say it again, do not apply grease in here. You actually put a small bead of grease on the outside of this main plug, like this. Sort of smear it on there. You don't need excessive amounts, because the tolerance of this plug and that plug is quite tight. When these two are joined together, this grease will smear on the inside of this plug and create effectively it's like an O-ring, but it's made out of battery grease. So when I put the two together and I click it in like that, that grease smears on the inside and it provides a watertight seal. Again, you would need to do the same for this. Whilst I'm at this point, I'm going to explain, make sure you plug the batteries in the correct orientation. I know this sounds stupid, but if I was to tip this upside down, it won't plug in. The reason is twofold. One is the plug is in the wrong orientation, but two, you will notice that these keys on the side of the batteries have different shapes, and they are different shapes on both module sets. So you can try, but they won't want to go in the wrong position because they just physically won't plug in. So again, this one here, I would do exactly the same. I'm just going to put a bit of grease on there, like so. That's it. And I'll plug that one in like that. I do not need to take this battery apart until I'm traveling next. So you can leave that grease in there, and you could be on an island for 2 or 3 months. You can leave it in there. There's no reason for it to go anywhere. It'll still be there the day you take it apart. The same applies for the slim. This is a slightly smaller plug, a little harder to apply because of its size, and these tabs, I do admit, get slightly in the way, but with a bit of care, it's not that hard. I have now applied grease to the surrounds of that plug. Line them up, push it in. Perfect. If you do put grease on the inside of these plugs, it's not going to destroy your battery, it's just going to attract dust and grit and grime that is not easy to clean with these type of plugs, as opposed to when you're applying it to the outside. It's very easy to clean that with a cotton bud and a towel. So I will demonstrate pulling it apart. As I pulled it apart, you will see that the grease has smeared all the way around this plug, because it's actually been forced on the inside of these two receiving parts. Over time, you'll end up with a buildup of grease around here. That's fine. You just want to make sure you keep it out of those terminals. The last step is just doing the normal application of grease on your main terminal. And again, as per normal, just a little bit. You don't need excessive amounts. Every time you're plugging your battery in and out, in and out, in and out of your unit, there's always a little bit more grease in there. Some people go excessive and they pile it on there. You don't need to do that, just a small amount, and that's all that you need. Once you've labelled your battery, you put the grease on there, now you want to physically join it. So as you saw before, I put the modules together in the correct way, and then you flip it on its side. You want to make sure that the seam lines in the batteries are pressing up against each other and that there's no obvious gap between the modules. You'll know that because if you look in the holes, you can actually see the threaded inserts are lining up the holes. In your kit, you'll have a little bag of screws. They simply, as you would expect, go in each hole, and the same 2.5mm Allen key that is provided with the kit does them up. Again, I always am a big advocate of, when you're doing screws up, you should be able to do it up finger tight initially, which means your threaded bolt, or the inserts in your bolt, are aligning properly. You should never need excessive force to do anything up. If you're using excessive force, something's not right. Stop what you're doing because you'll damage it. So I'll finish these ones off. Again, nice and easy, finger tight. Now that they're done, 2 fingers, and I just tighten them up a little bit. You do not need to excessively tighten these. If you do, go really crazy on it, you could crack the plastic. Then I would do the other side. So that's it. Your battery's ready to go. Put the grease on, make sure they're labelled, put the bolts in. Yes, you have to use them all. It makes the pack rigid. You use the same chargers that you already own, the 4 amp standard charger. And this is where I'll remind you, the Slim Performance, just like the normal Slim Performance, is not designed to be charged on the fast charger that charges at 8 amps. This is only a 4.8 amp hour battery. It is not designed for fast charging. You can use the fast charger on the Max Travel Battery and the standard charger. So plug it in as per normal, wait for the light to go green, go foiling. Okay, so unfortunately, holiday's over, you gotta fly home. What do you do next? So you wanna pull the batteries modules apart. And when you purchase the kit, you will have noticed that these rubber sort of end pieces come with the battery. These are basically protective caps, if you will, for not only protecting the battery if you were to bump it or drop it, but it's for airline travel. So they're now into individual modules. For the Max, you've got the one on the end that simply needs an end cover and one of the yellow plugs. For the battery in the middle, it needs 2 silicon end caps. And you can see here, this is just a flat face and that's got a hole. Obviously the hole presses into that, and this then goes onto that one. And you guessed it, this last one goes on here. And the same for the Slim. It's just follow your nose on that one. And they are now terminated, and you would put a yellow plug on that. So for protection for the battery, stop stuff getting into the pins, but also for the airline, when you turn up, your batteries are terminated with these protective covers, and you would put these batteries back in the nice little zip case that they came in, so that you can travel with them as individual items. Okay, so you've touched down, you've landed, you're back home. you've got your batteries all in pieces. You can technically leave them as individual items zipped up in your bag as a grab bag ready to go, or you can put them together and continue to use them as a normal battery. The choice is really yours. Me personally, I put them back together and continue using them, but there's really no right or wrong. The final piece before leaving is, again, if you're traveling and you're taking your Gen 2 and your travel batteries all over the world, remember surf etiquette, respect the other people where you're going, check in with your local dealer, check in with the Facebook users, just check in with your local surfers and foilers, and just make sure that you understand where you're going and you show respect to the locals wherever they are, and try and enjoy yourself with everyone else. Cheers.